Hi, everybody. Vince Lewis with Partners MGU, welcoming you to another edition of the Partners Podcast. In part two of our four-part discussion with Adam Russo of the Phia Group, we continue our dialogue on a variety of subjects related to the self-funded industry. This segment addresses the COVID-19 epidemic and its impact on brokers, carriers, and insurers. In this segment, there are a couple key things that should be noted from Adam's comments. First, the concept of deferred utilization that most of us in the industry knew was inevitable from COVID. Of course, there are a lot of surgeries and elective procedures that have or will take place that were now on the tail end, now that we're at the tail end of the pandemic. But there's an emotional toll that has happened that will create spikes in mental health and drug addiction claims and the related treatments. Now, what I'm really curious to see is what the fourth quarter of 2021 will bring as far as claim frequency and severity. At Partners, our own book of business has shown significant increases in claim activity in the last 3 months of a plan year, which, situation in some instances where you see a case that when you sold it was profitable, by the end of the plan year ends up taking a loss. So you couple that with some of the crazy things that I've seen in pricing from stop loss carriers, we could be looking at a lot of potential upheaval this time next year. Just a thought. The second challenge is how brokers are protecting their self-funded clients from potential COVID claim exposure. This becomes even more critical when considering various state workers' compensation laws related to COVID. Is your plan documenting claim procedures in line to avoid unnecessary exposure? Remember, the carriers only pay what the plan document says. The tighter the PD language, the less the carriers have to interpret. Adam has some great insight on this topic. To listen to our full conversation, please click on the link in the description. And please let us know your thoughts and comments surrounding the segment. We also hope you check in next week for our episode 3 on how surprise billing impacts reference-based pricing. We hope you enjoy.
So couple that with the policy. You mentioned some earlier about claims practices of various stop loss providers as well. So, what in your, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but in your capacity at Phia, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing in terms of claim mindset and behavior of stop loss providers out there?
We know, just based on the fact that we get all the claims data from all of our clients, right? We get every claim. Claims volume was down big time last year. Mm-hmm. Overall, if you were a self-funded plan, even if you did nothing, no innovation, no cool plan design, no change in behavior, people weren't going to get treated. So hence, You had a great year. Man, this self-funded thing is awesome. Yeah, because they're telling you can't leave the basement, bro. It's going to change. So we saw that a lot of our clients had amazing experiences when it came to what they paid in claims, right? It was a great year.
Right.
But what they weren't talking about was the fact that people weren't getting preventive treatment. So cancer screenings, things like that.
Right.
So what we saw was stop loss carriers, rightfully so. When I went to, we have stop loss and we went to get renewal, we looked at all these different quotes, et cetera, and everyone was trying to increase the rates by 10, 15%. And I'm sitting there going, what? We had no claims last year.
Right. What's up with that?
You had a great year last year too, stop loss carrier. How can you do this to us? And I heard the same thing with every carrier I talked to. Adam, we're freaked out what's going to happen later on this year. All those people that either delayed, postponed, or never got a treatment.
Right.
Guess what's going to happen? That cancer that they could have caught at the beginning when it was cheap to catch, they're not catching it now. Now you got an operation. Now you have complications. Now you have big surgeries. Now you have what you guys love to call in the industry, catastrophic claims.
Right. Right.
So that's why, right? People are seeing, when we look at the trends now, we're definitely seeing an uptick, but there's no question that the big concern is what's going to happen in that fourth quarter, right?
Yep.
Are people going to then start having these surgeries? What's going to happen there? And then you also have to look at a couple other things, if you don't mind, Vince, if I just keep on going.
No, please, go ahead.
Mental health.
Right.
The increase in the number of people that are on antidepressant medication. Listen, the drug companies are psyched.
Right.
But you have people now who prior to COVID weren't on medication, and now they're going to be on it for the rest of their lives. Drug addiction, alcohol use. Have you seen
Right.
how much more alcohol is being consumed? So at least here in Boston, you still can't go to a bar. There's no nightclubs. How
Right.
are they selling more alcohol than they did before COVID?
What they got, Uber Eats and DoorDash for liquor now, I heard.
Listen, man,
There's all kind of stuff going on.
people are sitting in their basement and just opening
Getting
up bottles.
posted. Yep.
So that's going to have an effect not only on a person's health claims, but also on an employer. Those people work for you, right?
Yep.
So you got behavioral health issues, you have potential, drug addiction issues. You got, everything we're noticing, people weren't getting that preventive care. So from a claim standpoint and a patient behavior standpoint, there are things that we're trying to help people fix. And our webinars have been talking about that. Like, we know that there are still 30% of all plans don't have within their plan documents anything on telemedicine, telehealth. Everyone is doing it virtual now, right?
Right.
We all have.
Right.
And we're still seeing that such a big percentage of self-funded plans, maybe they thought COVID was going to go away after 2 weeks. Remember last March, right? Like, oh yeah, by the summer we'll be fine, right?
Right.
It's been a year,
Right.
man. I've been on a
Right.
plane in 13 months. So,
Yep.
but for whatever reason, many plans just thought this was going to go away, and they still haven't updated their plan documents as they need to, whether it's required because of COVID or just based on the patient behavior that I just talked about.
So the thing is, too, is that you spoke about mental health claims. What are those people going to do? They're going to go to rehab, right? Eventually, they're going to go to rehab.
Out of network, bro. Out of network
Right.
claim. Those rehabilitation claims are the biggest ones that kill plans, right? That's where you see the biggest fraud. That's where you see the biggest abuse, are those claims. And typically they're out of network. So again, what are people doing in regards to their language in their plan doc when it comes to reasonable and customary? What's allowable? What's the maximum allowable? And if I'm a stop loss carrier, those things are concerning to me too. In addition, COVID claims,
Right.
COVID related claims, workers'
Yep.
compensation. So I don't know about your organization, Vince, but what we have seen, we started scrubbing COVID data, COVID claims starting in last May. When the codes came out, right? The diagnosis codes, procedure codes, we started scrubbing.
Right.
And what we do is we identify individuals who have COVID related claims, are sick, right? Or in the hospital, whatever.
Right. Right.
And they are an employee of a plan. And that plan, we've identified that plan as being why am I forgetting it? An essential plan, that the person would be known as an essential worker, right?
Work. Okay,
Work
yeah.
at a supermarket, at a fire
Right.
department, hospital. So we're able to identify those individuals without ever contacting them. So we identify who those people are. And then based on what state you're in, workers' comp is primary. I don't know if you knew that. So out of all 50 states,
Oh, yeah. That's
I would
right.
say
That's
there are
right.
about 13, 14 states where if I'm working at a supermarket
And I
right?
get COVID.
and I get COVID, if
Yeah.
I'm in New York, it's automatically assumed
So
that I got COVID from work.
Yep.
Workers' comp pays.
Yep.
My job would have to prove that I didn't get it at work. Whereas you have another 30 states where it's the exact opposite, where I would have to prove that I did get sick because of work. Carriers don't know this. No stop loss carriers aren't looking at this. So what we have noticed is anytime there's a COVID-related claim, they're automatically pushing back on a plan saying, this person looks like they got COVID. Were they working? Are they an essential health worker? What does their employee handbook say? I'm like, dude, they're in California. It doesn't matter. They're not
Right.
going to get reimbursed by workers' comp. And it's just educational pieces that are, and again, it's all new,
Right.
but that's a huge trending issue that we're seeing now where we see a lot of plans paying a lot of claims in a lot of states that workers' comp should be paying. And no one's
Wow.
talking about it except for us.
And obviously, in order to combat against that, the employee plan sponsor needs to probably put in some sort of provision in their plan doc to make up for that difference, I would assume. Then,
Yeah,
right?
not even just a provision, also a process. You need a process. What are you going to do? I mean, are they looking at those claims at all? So it's more than just language in the plan. It's also changing the claim process within an organization, the TPA or whoever the administrator is.